This is a Mannlicher Carcano, an Italian-made 6.5mm military rifle, the same model as the one Lee Harvey Oswald owned and allegedly used to kill President Kennedy. It's a relatively simple weapon, but many researchers are convinced that neither it nor Oswald could fire as fast and accurately as stated by the Warren Commission. The Warren Commission began its case against Oswald with accounts of his co-workers, photographed here seconds after the shooting, looking out from the floor directly beneath Oswald.
I could even now hear the empty cartridges hitting the floor. I mean, after the shots had been fired.
It was a bang and a bang bang like that, you know.
Fire like that, you know, boom, then boom, and boom.
Here's the Warren Commission shooting scenario of those three shots. Oswald did not first pull the trigger until the limousine went past the tree. 2 shots hit, 1 missed. Using the now famous Zapruder film, the commission calculated there were about 5.5 seconds between the first shot and the third fatal shot. Using just a stationary test target, the commission concluded Oswald could have done it. CBS News did its own independent test in 1967. We built a target and test track to match exactly the dimensions of Dealey Plaza and asked 11 volunteer marksmen to see how quickly they could fire a Mannlicher Carcano. They shot at a target moving at the estimated speed of the motorcade. One shooter, a weapons manufacturer, made 3 hits within 5.5 seconds. Only 3 others managed 2 hits in that short time. All 11 had several chances, so it can be done. But the odds are against it, supporting the theory that there perhaps was more than one gunman. But what if the Warren Commission's scenario of 5.5 seconds is wrong? What if Oswald had more time, much more time? What if he took his first shot before the car passed the tree and missed, giving more time for the second shot and making the third and fatal shot the easiest of all?
Oswald, in fact, had 8.5 seconds for all 3 shots. To be able to readjust your sight and your aim is what makes the difference in this shooting.
Author Gerald Posner's findings are provocative, but are they provable?
We can look at the Zapruder film, and with new enhancements and new technology, that film can answer exactly what took place on November 22nd.
The first shot, said the Warren Commission, might have struck the president. Posner disagrees, saying it was deflected by the tree.
There's some evidence on the film itself of this early missed shot. The president is just bringing his hand down from a wave, and I believe this is part of what you'll see as his reaction to this first shot. And there's key testimony from a young girl, Rosemary Willis, with a white jacket on and a red skirt, who's running along with the automobile. As the president is bringing his hand down from a wave, she starts to slow up, and then she stops completely here. She is turning around, as she correctly remembers, because she heard a shot from this direction.
That film discovery of a possible early missed shot and a longer time to fire 3 shots is new. The theory is old. 26 years ago, CBS reported on the findings of physicist Luis Alvarez. Alvarez noticed that Abe Zapruder slightly jiggled his 8mm camera 3 times, causing the film to blur. Could he have been startled by 3 rifle shots? We tried it ourselves using other cameramen standing on a rifle range holding similar cameras, filming an automobile while shots were fired over their heads. Their instructions: hold the cameras as steady as possible and keep filming no matter what happens. The reaction was obvious. They jiggled with each shot. The blurs in the films they took occur at the same times as in the Zapruder film. And the first blur happens precisely when Posner says Oswald got off the first shot, supporting the theory that Oswald had more time to get off 3 shots, not the far more difficult 5.5 seconds estimated by the Warren Commission. Making it easier yet again, says Posner, is that Oswald had more time to aim his rifle for the shot that first hit Kennedy. The Warren Commission thought that bullet struck Kennedy when the car was behind the sign. Posner says it was later, after the car passed the sign.
The president is emerging here. You can see the president coming down from a wave. In the next frame, the president's elbow jerks off of the car. What has happened to the president is the bullet that has struck him in this portion of his back has passed through it, has chipped some bone along his spinal cord, and induced a neurological spinal reaction called the Thorburns position. You can see the president's hands coming up, not to his throat, but locking in front of his chin, and they will be locked in that position. Until he's shot in the head and the cortex is destroyed, he cannot lower his arms. They are physically locked.
Now for the greatest controversy about this single bullet, what critics call the magic bullet. These 3 shell casings were found on the 6th floor of the book depository. Only 2 bullets were recovered. This fragmented bullet, said the Warren Commission, was the 3rd shot, the one that hit the president in the head. Therefore, the Warren Commission concluded, this other, what critics call magic bullet, must have gone through President Kennedy and then into Governor Connolly's back, out his chest, through his right wrist, and finally into his left thigh.
The single bullet theory, which is the Warren Commission report sine qua non. If you don't have a single bullet theory, you've got 2 people shooting.
Said, what happened to the bullet that went through President Kennedy's neck? And
David Bellin was a lawyer for the Warren Commission. He came up with the single bullet theory.
We reconstructed the motorcade, went frame by frame using the Zapruder film. It turned out that they were right on line at the time that shot first struck.
To test the single bullet theory, PBS 2 years ago used computer animation techniques not available to the Warren Commission. Precise measurements of Dealey Plaza and the speed and location of the Kennedy limousine were taken to analyze if one shot from the 6th floor of the book depository could duplicate the angle and damage of the magic bullet shot. If the governor did turn, as he recalls, perhaps reacting to an earlier shot that missed, the trajectories line up and lead back to the 6th floor window.
This is frame 223 on the Zapruder film. The president, you're just starting to see his shirt cuff here coming out from behind the sign. Here you can see on both sides of Governor Connolly his white shirt, and there's his tie right in the middle. In the next frame, something very interesting happens. This lapel on his jacket,
His right lapel,
blows up, covering this part of his shirt. It now eliminates this great question mark of when was the governor and the president struck by a second shot.
And how about the 3rd and fatal shot? For nearly 30 years, critics of the Warren Commission insist it came from the front, proving, they say, there was a second gunman.
We have the body going forward. We have a car moving in that direction. We have the bullet coming in this direction, according to the Warren Commission, and yet we have the body moving back this way.
That's a popular theory, but the film reveals Kennedy's head first goes slightly forward.
There is a small movement of the president. It's calculated as about 2.5 to 3 inches forward. Then this exit takes place.
All the evidence clearly shows there were 2 and only 2 gunshot wounds from behind, and there's no question that that bullet wound in the back of the head is a typical, classic entrance wound.
Those in the military and those who hunt know that the entry wound tends to be the small wound.
Absolutely.
So if you hit a deer or a person, you're most likely to have a small movement forward when the bullet enters. And then as the bullet exits, it blows back.
That's right. It happens so fast. We can see, and it's terrible because, not to be gruesome, but this pinkish cloud coming out of the president, but to the front. Now, this is key that the president has been hit from the rear. If he's hit from the front, we would expect to see on this film the red cloud should be behind the president as the bullet exits. In addition, you can see right here a line of material. This is also shooting out of the president's head. This is partially skull and brain matter that is going up and to the front. We now have the photographic evidence of a shot from the rear.
And a last and fascinating question. Was the limousine really going at 11 miles per hour when Kennedy was killed?
Bill Greer, who was the oldest member of the Secret Service detachment.
He was the wheelman.
He was the wheelman. He remembered looking around toward this commotion in the back of the car after the president was first hit, which would have been this shot near the sign. Seeing the president react, he said he then turned around before the fatal headshot, hit the accelerator, and they were zooming out of Dealey at the time the bullet hit the president in the head. What we will see is before the president's fatal headshot, Mr. Greer over on the left-hand side of the car in front of the windshield, very difficult to see, but his head here will turn around.
Indeed it does.
And you will see him actually looking at the president at the moment of the fatal headshot. He then, if we follow him after this shot, turns around in panic, ducks down. You can see him hunched over and hits the accelerator. So what it means is he has inadvertently given Oswald the easiest of the 3 shots.